Hey there, this is Erica from Ever Educating, and this channel is all about teaching tips, tools, ideas, and resources for new college instructors. Today is the part 2 for my online icebreaker video, and I'll have that linked at the end of this one. But I'm talking about more practical icebreakers in the sense that you can use them to have students practice the technology that you'll be using in your class. So specifically Zoom and your LMS. And I do have a Zoom tutorial that I'll link below as well for later viewing. And so there's 5 different icebreakers here. 3 that are synchronous and 2 that are asynchronous. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first icebreaker activity happens on Zoom, and it's just a whole class discussion where you share the screen as the instructor. And so it's going to be a word cloud game. So you're going to ask students various prompts, and they're going to type in the answers, and the answers are going to populate into a word cloud. So the goal here is to have the answers be very short, 1 to 3 words. And so you can see, is there a sense of, okay, well, when I asked what's your favorite genre of literature, maybe sci-fi will be huge in the word cloud. And so you have an idea of, okay, students, tend to prefer that. Let me keep that in mind for examples for the future. Or you might have, what's your biggest worry about this class? And you might see exams are huge, or maybe reading load is bigger. And so it creates a word cloud for you, so that can be really interesting for students to see visually. It gets them a sense of how you share your screen with them to show them information, and you can start to get to know your students as well. So this could be fun. You could ask them what's your favorite movie, what's your favorite color, that kind of stuff. But you can also have getting to know them questions as well. Okay, so that's the first idea here. Just give them a sense of using Zoom as a whole class while you're sharing your screen. The next one takes it a step further by having students practice going into breakout rooms, getting an answer as a group, and then coming back to the whole class discussion. Okay? And so in this case, you're going to give them a prompt and say you're going to be divided into teams in the breakout rooms. You have 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute to answer the question, and then bring back your answer to the whole class discussion. So here it's more about the practicing the breakout room situation, and again, my tutorial goes over how to create those, but the prompt doesn't really matter. It could be whatever you want it to be. So you might have, tell me the answer to this question. What's the fastest animal in the world? And you have them go off into breakout rooms, do their research, make sure they know the answer, and bring it back. And then they have to say, okay, everybody at once, say what the fastest animal is, and see if everybody has the same answer. Okay? Or you might have, decide amongst you, would you rather do X or Y? You have to come up with one answer, right? So debate for a few minutes. They can practice, persuasive language. They go off into the groups for a few minutes, they come back, and then you say, okay, group 1, what did you decide and why? Group 2, group 3, group 4, right? So they can get to know each other in the breakout rooms a bit, and practice that dynamic, but also you can ask them questions that you want answers to, or just fun questions. It really depends on how you want to go for the purpose of this icebreaker besides practicing breakout rooms. Now the next one asks them to share their screens rather than just you. And so you're going to have them ask one question, and you're going to tell them, go ahead and find an image of the answer to that question and be prepared to share it with the whole class. And so maybe you'll say, if you had all the money in the world, what's one thing you would buy immediately? And give them a few minutes to find a picture of that thing. And then have, want to go around, and everybody's going to share their screen, show that object or that thing, and tell us why they'd buy that first. And so you can show them, okay, this is how you share your screen. You're going to go here, you're going to click this, et cetera, et cetera. And just go down and have everybody share their screen and talk a little bit about their object that they've chosen. And so you want to make sure your settings are set so that students can also share and not just the host. And once again, I go through that in my tutorial, which you can watch after this one if you don't know how to do that yet. But this question can be fun, or it can just be, something specific to the class. So maybe it's, what's your favorite book? Because I teach literature, right? They have a few minutes to get a picture of that book, and then you start sharing the screens. Okay? So these are just 3 synchronous ideas, and if you like them so far, please do click like and let me know. But then I want to do asynchronous too, because I know not all of us are doing synchronous learning in our online classes. And so the first idea here is to do an LMS scavenger hunt. So this can take a bit more time on your hands, but it can be great to have students practice going through your LMS and figuring out where they will find important information. And so on the scavenger hunt, you have a list of questions, and each question has 2 parts. And so the first part, maybe they could find the answer on Google, depending on what kind of question you ask, but the second part can only be found on your LMS. So for example, you might say, what is the oldest state in the US? Now that's easy to Google. But part 2 will be find the answer in the place where you'll find the syllabus for this class. And so they'll know, okay, well the oldest state is X, but they found that answer, whether or not they use Google, in the tab titled Files under Syllabus file, right? Or under the tab titled Syllabus in the file called Syllabus, right? So the second part is the only part that will get them any points for this icebreaker. And so you might have, a harder question. What's the first novel that had this type of scene in it? There's no way they'll find that very easily on Google, unless it's a very popular thing, right? So they might as well just use LMS scavenger hunt to find the answer to that. So find the answer in the place where we'll have our asynchronous discussions. And so they'll go to the discussions tab, they'll find a certain discussion in it, and in it you'll have the answer written down. So they'll say the answer is this. I found that by going to the discussions tab, going to the discussion titled this, and seeing your comment, right? And so you just keep on going in that sense, 2-part questions, the second part being where they find it in the LMS, okay? And you tell them very specifically in the instructions, you have to tell me exactly how you found that answer, where it was, right? And so you have them, for a little bonus, practice, have them submit it as a PDF, their answers, to the assignment, titled Icebreaker, right? LMS scavenger hunt Icebreaker. And so that way they can also practice, turning in assignments and turning the assignments in the right file, type, right? If you're doing PDFs, if not, whatever, file that you want them to use. And so in this case, it's a lot of practice using LMS. You might find ways to reward them. So if you got all the answers right, you get an extra bonus point in participation today. If you got 3/4 the answers right, you get this thing. Or you might just be like, congratulations to, Jose and Julia and Sarah, you all got full points, right? And great job, Eric, you got, 8 of the 10, right? So you can do it that way too if you want to. And so this is really great for practicing the LMS and navigating it, which is obviously essential for an online class. Now, the most important part of an online class, in my opinion, that's asynchronous, is the discussion forums. So this idea here is obviously get them to practice responding to the discussion using multiple modes of communication. And so you give them a prompt, right? So, tell me this thing, but in your answer, tell me it in 3 words, 2 images, 1 video clip, and 1 song, right? And so when students reply, they have to have the 2 to 3 words, right? They have to have images included in the discussion, a text box. They have to have a link to a video or maybe an embedded video, and they have to have a link to a song. And so by doing that, you have students practice replying to the discussion with more than just words. So in the future, when you say, tell me, do this activity, you can answer it using words or images, or you can answer it using just regular words or an infographic. They know how to embed an image already because of this icebreaker, right? If they haven't create videos, they know how to add a video link using this icebreaker. Okay? So the big thing here is not just is this discussion, but it's an answer that's given in more than one modality. Now I have 5 more icebreakers that are more like fun online icebreakers to do, where students get to know each other and you get to know your students more than the practical tech aspect. And so I have that linked right now on the screen. And I also have that video about Zoom as well, in case you want to find out how to create breakout rooms and do the settings for screen sharing and all of that. All right, so I hope you found this video helpful. Again, click like and subscribe if you did.